I feel like there's an interesting inflection point now because of the proliferation of AI. You can really tailor that very directly now without a whole bunch of effort. So one of those was invoice generation. Agents on the support side really wanted invoices in the portal. They wanted easy access to it. And immediately that changed the game for them because now we're seeing less customer service emails and calls for those types of tasks, allowing internal resources to be freed up. If you're not dabbling in this in some way, that's what's going to get you replaced or finding yourself, difficult to be marketable.
So, Mark, I remember when I came back, so I kind of left the whole B2B e-com world for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't leave it. I just was doing a lot of work. So I wasn't as involved in LinkedIn and things like that. And when I came back in 23, and you were one of the first names I saw on that list of people talking about and posting about B2B e-commerce. And I know you'd been doing it longer than that, but first of all, what started you on the LinkedIn establishing a little bit of a personal brand journey for you?
Yeah, so I really enjoy being able to talk about this kind of stuff with other people. I feel like, and I'm sure we'll talk about the recent conference that you guys just hosted, but the B2B space has lacked for a long time really good, strong community where the people in the trenches doing the work can collaborate, can share ideas, can figure out what's working and what's not. And so I decided to go on LinkedIn and, start bringing these areas up and talking about them. And just kind of seeing what people responded to, what things were important for people to learn about or for them to stay current with. And I used it myself as a way to understand where I was in the space and how I was doing professionally and personally in my growth. So it gave me an opportunity to check a bunch of boxes by doing that.
We see it a lot in, consultants will do it. People like me do it as a way to build a personal brand, but it's not often you see it as someone that's a practitioner like you posting about stuff that's relevant. And I think it's a really cool thing that you've done. How did you, walk me through how you got into this whole world of B2B commerce leading up to that?
Yeah, so in my prior life, I did IT and networking. I had my own business right out of high school, where I did for about 10 years or so. Everything under the sun with technology. Never really dabbled in websites or e-commerce too heavily back then, but one of my customers actually approached me and said, "Hey, I've got this brand. I really think you'd fit in well with us." And that was actually B2C. So I went to work for him, and we built and grew a B2C brand. We doubled it. And then I started hearing about this B2B world and stumbled upon Ideal Tridon. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a pretty interesting company. Big manufacturing presence, something kind of different, a little unique. And so came on board there and took over kind of managing a hodgepodge of different website technologies, different architectures. Some stuff was managed internally, some externally. And then they continued to acquire brands and grow. And so, I started out with just 3 or 4 brands, and now we're up to 10 or 11 globally. Wow. And so, it's a lot of fun. We've got 18 manufacturing locations across the country, across the globe. And so it's neat because I took a lot of what I learned in B2C and a lot of those things that we were doing 5-7 years ago in B2C, I feel like B2B is now catching up with, the idea of sending SMS text messages, the idea of some of the personalization, some of the portals, things customers in B2C have long expected are now making their way into the B2B world. And it's pretty exciting to be a part of that and to get to use that experience and knowledge in that way.
Are you guys using SMS?
We're starting to dabble with it. We're looking into ways to use it for delivery because that's one of the big things. When we look, one of the cool things I like to do is meet with the different business units, work with their customer service teams, work with their sales teams and find out what are the customer pain points, where are things that we can improve. And when I hear that a lot of customers are calling for tracking, they're calling for details of their order, those are areas where I see SMS would be awesome. To be able to plug in and do that, just to take that completely off. The customer doesn't even have to think about it anymore.
We want to look at SMS this year as a big driver for us too. I think it's I always tell people, I think I've told you this, don't email me. If you want to email me and it'll get trapped in, I'll get to it. I'll get to it, but I don't spend a lot of time in email, or I spend as little time in email as possible. But text me and I'll get back to you right away,
Yeah.
And so I live in text, and I think so many people do. And so using that, I think delivery order confirmations, eventually abandoned cart stuff, I think is just extremely smart when it comes to B2B as well. I think there's going to be some interesting utility uses for it, right? Things even
Absolutely.
outside of kind of commerce. I think delivery is a great one of them. That's really interesting. So talk just a little bit about Ideal Tridon. Like, what is the company manufacturer?
Yeah.
Who do you sell through? Things like that.
Yeah, so we're a global manufacturer of products that support, secure, and connect our world. So when I say that, we have three distinct brands. We have the support division, which is our strut products. So think electrical. Walk into a Walmart or a BJ's or something and look up at the ceiling and you see everything's hanging from hangers and pipes and all of that. We manufacture all the clamps, the strut channel, the brackets, all the different things that go into that area. Under our secure division, that's our worm gear clamps. So we're known for creating the worm gear clamp, which you'll find under the hood of every car. You'll find it behind your washing machine. You'll find it used in tons of applications. And then we also have an entire plumbing line, data center line. We recently got into pharmaceutical and hygienic over in Europe, and we're bringing that to the US. So we have a company that does sanitary clamps and fittings for those industries. And then our last division is the Connect division, which is the fluid power. So everything with hydraulics, everything with air, gas, oil, things like that. We make couplers, we make adapters, fittings, things that go into that space. And so all of these sell through distribution. So we work directly with our distributors and try to help improve their experience however we can digitally.
What's the balance of e-commerce yourself versus working and selling through and supporting your distributor channels? What does that balance look like?
So right now, all of our sales go through distribution.
All sales through distribution.
Yeah. Yep.
And do you have things like distributor portals for your customers to purchase for then? So that's what e-commerce becomes?
We recently, in the last year and a half, so it's interesting, in the strut world, they sell through agents, which is a one-to-many relationship. We manage the agent who manages all the distributors and can see multiple things. So they have an agent portal view where they can select the customer, see the specific pricing, see order history, things like that. And then we have our traditional distributor portal with the one-to-one, seeing what that customer is doing directly with our brands.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you, what's your perspective on the state of product content syndication and the ability to get product content? It's one thing to get it to the distributors. It's another thing for them to use it, right? And actually, release that and have that present on their websites. Where's that industry from your perspective at?
Yes, so we get a lot of those requests. So we're a part of some buying groups that will ask for those files. They'll ask for the syndicated data. And so our marketing team takes care of that. We've kind of created some standard templates internally for, the Grangers and Zorros, Fastenals and Motions of the world. And so what we try to do is we try to equip the distributors with as much data as possible so that they can enhance their own websites. And we'll also meet with distributors and see how we can help them further that sales cycle, whether it's through additional marketing support, literature, co-branding, things like that. But I feel like there's an interesting inflection point now because of the proliferation of AI. Jason Hine has been saying it for a decade about PIM data and getting the stuff to your distributors and getting it downstream. Now I look and see what you could do with AI to clean some of this up and to make improvements to it. It's changing the landscape because you're able to produce much more content much more rapidly that really can be customized exactly for that distributor, exactly for the persona, for the market they're selling, whatever they may need. You can really tailor that very directly now without a whole bunch of effort, which I think is a really great place to be. And I think we're going to continue to see improvements in that space where the data will kind of have like a generic, here's the technical specs, and then we let AI do I'm selling for plumbing, I'm selling for electrical, I'm selling for data center, and let it do the work for us to help make that more uniform.
Where's your executive team in this? I mean, in our conversations that you and I have had, it feels like they are very supportive, if not involved in digital initiatives. Is like, what's that relationship like with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very fortunate. Our CEO is very forward thinking. He's very growth minded, and he understands that digital is a growth area and channel. So I actually, a few years ago, put on a summit at our corporate office in Tennessee, brought together all the functional unit business leaders, marketing, IT, everyone that needed to be involved. And we kind of talked about where we were as an e-commerce division and what we were doing for the company and how we can support all of those divisions. And then I sit on at least two of the different executive teams to go through weekly calls, work with their customer service team, their sales team, their ops team, and hear about the challenge that they're facing and where we can inject digital tools to fix that or to help alleviate some of that. So one of those, was invoice generation. Agents on the support side really wanted invoices in the portal. They wanted easy access to it. So we were able to coordinate with IT and build a tool that enabled us to publish those to the portal for them. And immediately that changed the game for them because now we're seeing less customer service emails and calls for those types of tasks, allowing internal resources to be freed up. And the C-suite and the team above sees that, and they realize the value of that in being forward thinking and being able to kind of, try new things and be willing to fail fast and be willing to give it a shot and see how this digital stuff is going to go. So they've invested in me and my team to be able to do that. And I'm very fortunate to have them on my side.
I heard a phrase recently that someone was like, forget fail fast, succeed fast.
Yeah, I love it. Hey,
and
I'm all for that.
With succeeding comes failure, right? Always.
Sure.
It's kind of interesting. What does your team look like inside of the company?
Yeah, so I work as a functional manager. So I'm in the trenches with them. I do some code development. I do some code review. But then I have a full-time web developer that manages all of our properties internally. And then I have a full-time product content catalog, digital everything person, and she manages several of the brands, soup to nuts. She handles all the stuff from adding new products, dealing with content, and doing some code development. So, between the three of us, we knock out all the projects together.
Has that team been together for a while, or is that the recent expansion of that?
Yeah, overall, I've had my one employee for I think 5 or 6 years, and then the other one almost 2 now. So we've been, for a while it was very lean. It was just 2 of us doing it. But as we've scaled and grown, and as the growth demands come up, if they want to succeed and grow faster, we need people sometimes. I'm a proponent that AI can do a lot of things, but I still feel there's absolutely spaces for people and the people that use those tools to enable their job. So that's one of the good things about that.
Do you have to sell when you need new people? Do you have to sell that pretty hard internally, or is everybody kind of aware of like, hey, these are the priorities and we need these people to get this done?
Yeah, I'd say that overall, as long as there's an ROI and a use case for it where we can show that by adding these people, we're going to be able to do X things this year much quicker, it's not that hard to make the case. With any enterprise business, it's, you're always looking at every dollar and figuring out where you're going to get that 10x return. So is it people? Is it tools? Is it external consultants? So we do that dance and we make sure to fully vet out what we're trying to do. We've talked about hiring a UI UX person, possibly internally, but then we look and say, is that something the business needs now, long term, or is that something that we can do a one-time stint with a consultant, have them give us some great feedback, and we implement it? So we're always evaluating those types of choices internally.
That leads me to the next question, which is that the work that you guys do. Do you guys do most of the work yourselves? Do you work with partners a lot, or is it pretty internal?
So it's 95% internal. It's funny. I used to really be, I don't want to say anti-SI. I just didn't fully understand in my youth where an SI and the right SI or partner can come in and help excel your business. And after the last few conferences I've been to, probably the last 2 years, I've really started to see value in potentially partnering with someone like that can give a different perspective on the business that I'm seeing, that can help inform the strategy based on what they're seeing across hundreds of customers and hundreds of websites and platforms and industry benchmarks. So I would say right now we are very, very much internal. My one full-time developer, he just has a list of projects and every day comes in and just makes progress on the next one. And that's just, we're always coding and developing and building something. Do I see that transforming? I think there will be input from an SI or a partner on what those projects should be, how we can get more ROI, how we can grow faster and scale. And maybe that'll turn into having them assist in the development. But right now I see it still continuing pretty inward focused.
What does your tech stack look like for
so today we're all standardized. We use a platform called Viva Merchant. They've been around since the late 90s. They were one of the pioneers of e-commerce then and continue to innovate. And one of the things I like about their platform is it's very open and extensible. We can do just about anything in it. And so we connect that to our 3 different ERPs internally. And then we're able to, serve up and show data in whatever format we need to.
When we met, we hadn't met before B2B e-commerce world in real life.
In person, yeah.
In person. So that was our first time we met. And you leave out a big part of your personal brand. I don't know if you realize this, but the biggest question I have for you is, where do you buy your shirts? Because you were at
the world premiere of this shirt. I wore it just for this call.
Nice. Where did you buy that shirt?
So I get most of these on a website called Geeks Outfit.
Geeks Outfit. Nice.
You're referring to the Excel spreadsheet that is now known. Yes, my personal brand is nerdy, geeky shirts that go with my B2B knowledge. I figured you had seen the Excel shirt, and a lot of people have, so I wanted to break out some retro Clippy. And he's saying, it looks like you need a coffee. And so
that's amazing.
Just a very fun one. But yeah, I stumbled upon the website Geeks Outfit. I should set up an affiliate because everybody
you need an affiliate link for geeksoutfit.com. It sounds like
the unofficial sponsor of your podcast.
You had another shirt at B2B e-commerce world, which was a Buc-ee's. I think it was a Buc-ee's shirt.
Yeah. Yep. And I've got my Buc-ee's mug here. Yep. Oh yeah.
You
got all kinds of little Buc-ee's on it.
You were not afraid of matching with anybody else at the conference. There was nobody else. There was like, I'm not.
Memorable. Hey.
Someone's like, I'm not bringing my Buc-ee's shirt on this trip. I'm not bringing my Excel spreadsheet on this shirt on this trip because Mark's going to wear it. No, I love them. I love them.
What's funny is, so we decided we do quarterly resets with the teams, and we usually go off site for them for a day or two, and that's where we go over things and plan for the quarter. And we decided, since most of us are based in the Northeast on this team, we're all like in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, we were like, let's go somewhere warm. So last January, we decided to go to Texas, where we have a branch. We figured, it'll be beautiful in Texas in January. Wouldn't you know it, that was the year of the ice storms. So we wound up getting stranded in a hotel ordering pizza, and I had just bought a Buc-ee's zip-up onesie. And
the
CEO was there, the whole team. I came off the elevator in my Buc-ee's onesie, ready to have dinner with everybody. And it was a riot. It was so fun. I figured, hey, why not? It's cold. I got it. It's perfect time to break it in.
I need pictures of this Buc-ee's onesie. So they just opened a Buc-ee's on 81 right outside of Harrisonburg, Virginia, going from Maryland. So, I moved from Maryland to Greenville, South Carolina. So I often go that route back to Maryland, and they just opened the first Buc-ee's in Virginia on 81. And so I stopped in there for my very first time, and it was an amazing experience. And everybody down here in the South kept saying, you got to go to Buc-ee's, Mm-hmm. What was fascinating for me was I figured it was, a decent sized gas station. But when I got there, it was a Walmart sized gas station.
Yep.
And they said that every Buc-ee's they build is the biggest Buc-ee's.
Yep.
And so everyone gets a little bigger, which is fascinating. And there was such a huge line, and I mean, so many people. There weren't very many lines. Just a massive amount of cars going in and out. It was a great experience.
I can't wait for us to get one closer. There's a sign on the New Jersey Turnpike that has a Buc-ee's U-turn 674 miles, and
Yes,
that might be the Virginia one that just
I
opened.
think
They're
so.
supposed to open one in Pennsylvania sometime in 26, but it keeps getting kind of moved around. So
Oh, that would be amazing. You'd be writing there. So you wrote this is, I'm going to read off of a LinkedIn post you made recently.
uh-oh.
You
What did
said,
I say?
no, nothing bad. Are you deploying or using AI agents? I
Oh
just
yeah.
built a new one today around code review that will help standardize the documentation process and make sure our docs are uniform and clear to read for both technical and non-technical users. I definitely want to dive into that. But before we do, like what do you kind of see as the evolution of AI and then of AI agents in your field in manufacturing commerce?
Yeah. Well, I think in e-commerce in general, agentic AI and agents are going to play a big role in how the future buyers interact, but there's still a huge gap. I was looking around the Halloween time. I every month I do an update to our corporate team, and I include like LinkedIn screenshots and things. And it was this person who wanted to go shopping for their kid's costume, and so they tried using. It was right around the time that the new ChatGPT browser came out, and he just listed in detail the failures because the pages didn't have the proper structure for an AI bot to figure out what it was trying to buy. And so it couldn't see invisible buttons. It couldn't see certain actions you had to do. There were pop-ups that blocked it. And it just kind of detailed the current state of where we were in trying to use agentic commerce. I think in B2B, what it's going to do is it's going to enable the technical level of products that we sell and others sell to be more accessible. You're not going to need to call an engineer and spend a half hour describing what you're trying to do and determine all these different calculations and how your product will fit. You're going to be able to use an agent that knows everything about your product, and then you put in the application and where you're trying to use it, and it's able to safely determine the right fit. I think we're a few years from it being, fully autonomous and working like that, but I think we're getting closer every day to something like that being the experience people have. I also think internally, it's just a huge way to boost productivity. We look and we see Amazon laying off people. We see other companies laying off people in mass and saying it's because of AI. Either it was really just an overhiring during the COVID era or it was other factors. But really, by and large, AI is not going to replace the majority of people. It's going to augment the majority. Of course, with any of this technology, I was just reading a book about this, with any technological advance from the internet starting, you go all the way back to like the typewriter and then the computer coming into offices, and now secretaries that used to take notes by hand, you don't need as many. And every time technology advances, you have a bit of attrition, but it's not going to be this mass drop off of people. What's funny is one of the memes I shared with my team this month was a picture. It was an AI generated picture of a farmer talking to a horse. And he said, "You're not going to lose your job to a tractor. You're going to lose your job to a horse that can drive a tractor." And really, like, that's kind of the mentality now, is it's like, if you're not dabbling in this in some way, that's what's going to get you replaced or finding yourself, difficult to be marketable. As long as you're trying AI and experimenting and seeing little wins you can get personally and professionally, you're going to keep developing those skills and finding a way to make it useful for you.
I'm in the process of writing a new book, and the book is I won't say the title of it yet. It's a little controversial, but the premise of the book is, in a world that is AI everything. So and I don't mean even agents. I just mean like when you look at a website and it's, you don't know if it's AI or not. When you get an email and you don't know if it's AI or not. When you get a message, you don't know if it's AI or not. That in that world, that the one-to-one experience, the people side of this becomes actually a differentiator in a world. I mean, and it has, right? I mean, when you place a phone call and you get an actual person, you're surprised in a really good way that you got a person, right? And so it's a good customer experience to make a phone call and get a person. In the same way, AI and the fact is not that commerce or AI will diminish in that way at all. Meaning, I think we'll expect more and more automation, and we expect more, especially mundane tasks, being automated. But in those high value interactions, when you are able to talk to a real person that can use AI tools to enhance themselves and have access to all this information and give you not just an AI generated comment, but AI generated comment plus their own history and experience with using something like that, that becomes the new golden standard for what customer experience will look like. And I start by kind of challenging, in an AI world, but that's the ending premise. It kind of fits into how do you communicate AI stuff? So in your team and getting the people on your team and closely related to you upskilled in that area. And then how do you kind of represent that to your executive team of, hey, here's practically what we can do today?
Yeah. So I share with the executive team the examples of things we're doing actively. So things like trying to build internal tools for cross-referencing products. And, you mentioned it's great when you get a human on the phone. I want to continue that, but what I want to do is take call recordings, which we don't do today, but I would love to see us do something like this where you take all your recordings, dump them into an AI, and you start to find out, okay, well, why are people calling? What's the root reason? And then you start to find, oh, well, we're missing this from our knowledge base, or, oh, that PDF isn't on the website, and then you start to augment that continued personal relationship. But again, you find little ways to make things simpler and more self-service for customers as well. So the ones that don't want to pick up the phone have the right answers. A very wise coworker once told me, for every customer that does call you and report a problem on your website or something they couldn't find, there's 10 that did, and they just went and found it somewhere else.
They just
so I'm always mining for that type of stuff and how we can leverage AI to look at those interactions across our chat platforms, across email, across voice. And then with my own team for upskilling, it's all about prompt engineering. It's about ensuring that they're learning what the best practices and prompts are. There's tons of free education online. I use Coursera myself and take stuff every month. So I'm always constantly looking for ways to continue to sharpen that sword because the AI just keeps getting better. And knowing how to interact with it and use it is really the key. It's all about what you ask it.
Were you in the Nick Pericles session, the workshop that he gave at B2B e-commerce World? He was like, I also think, just for people listening, your ability, like the ability to communicate things in a simple way to your executive team for them to understand is just so important. Like he is just so talented as being able to kind of baby step everybody into these ideas, right? With excitement and charisma that he has. But I think it's just so critical. So to walk me through like some practical agents that you've created. You mentioned this one around code review, but anything that you built, like walk me through why you built it and what you built and like how it's working for you.
Yeah. So one of the recent ones I built is an assistant prompt that you basically paste in the code you're working on. You tell it the skill level you want it to describe it at, and it has a set of instructions on what it should output. And what this is helping me do is, as we release new features in our portals, as we continue to modify pages, customize templates, it enables me to create standardized documentation for the team that it always starts out the same way. It has a summary, an architecture, a dependencies, and that way it's something that, sure, I could do on my own, but I'm going to miss something every time. I'm going to skip a sentence in the summary, or I'm going to miss something in the dependencies. So this allows me to have the AI scan the code and output that format where we can then save that in our documentation portal, and anyone on the team can reference it at any point. So with me to take vacations, because now I'm not the only person with it in my brain. But that's been one really strong use case that's been great. We also use it for debugging. And, I think a lot of people use it for that. Like, I'm very much a big proponent that vibe coding is dangerous. Like, just having someone that only knows how to use ChatGPT or Claude to write code is going to create massive problems for the world. But if you have a functional programming knowledge or some baseline of how this code should work, and you use it to augment that, it's okay. So doing that in tandem to help write code faster, you're long gone are the days of MySpace and creating, custom HTML. And now if I need a table somewhere, if I need to style something, I'm not sitting there writing lines of CSS or HTML. I'm just saying, output this 10-row table with these colors. Boom, now I have my code. And those are just simple wins. The more advanced projects we're working on come around engineering and product data. So being able to create an internal tool that we can feed kind of, I think one day we're going to get Neuralink. We'll be able to download our brains into a computer. It'll be awesome. But we're a little ways off from that. So in the meantime, taking PDFs, catalogs, emails, anything I can from people and feeding it into a system where it can then, you can ask it natural language questions about our products, helps enable newer customer service employees, new sales employees, helps people get up to speed faster, and helps tap into some of that tribal knowledge that people who have been in the industry or the business 20 plus years have. So that's been a really exciting use case.
Are you guys using creating your own, in ChatGPT, it's GPTs, for yourself? Are you using like an enterprise grade LLMs? Like, how are you guys as a company looking at that? Yeah,
we're using, we have an agreement with a company. I'm not going to speak names, but we're using a proprietary software that is similar to like building your own GPTs and internal stuff that's linked to all of our own data lakes and warehouses. So it's really neat because it enables us to publish it both internally and externally. So I do see down the road that a lot of these things will go customer facing and be integrated to the websites. But for now, we're using them internally. I want to be very careful about that. We read the horrors and the headlines of like a Delta Airlines chatbot giving wrong information, and then the company has to honor it because hey, your system said it. So just testing internally first, really heavily, to make sure that we're not going to get anybody injured or do anything wrong with our products and shit.
Do you have any recommendations for people that are interested in this, but aren't very deep in the knowledge? You mentioned Coursera yourself. Is that a great place to start?
They had a awesome Black Friday deal. So I was like, hey, why not? It's just another avenue. There's a ton of free stuff online though for learning how to do a lot of this at a base level. I think the biggest thing is people need to not be afraid of it. They need to understand that as long as you're understanding that it's a tool that you're utilizing, and instead of seeking a problem to fix, make sure that you have a clear intention with it. Because what a lot of companies, and I think why that MIT study saying 95% of AI initiatives failed is so true, is because everyone just started slapping the word AI on their projects, on their tools, on their software, but they didn't actually think about the business case. You still need to look at things from a business lens and say, what's the core problem I'm trying to solve? Why does this need to be solved? Is this where I should be investing my energy? And then taking a tool like AI to augment it. AI is not going to be the placebo fix-all for everything. And there are cases where you may not want to deploy AI and you'd rather do it the old-fashioned way or a different path. And that's where people come in that need to actually look at it and understand the core problem before they go on to any of those things.
Amazing. How long have you been at Ideal Tridon?
Oh, gosh, going on, I think almost 10 years now.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
When you look back on your career, what do you kind of look as kind of the main things, the main lessons that you've been able to learn especially over the last 10 years when it comes to our world of manufacturing, e-commerce?
So I would say it's the people. It's building that LinkedIn brand. It was networking. It was meeting influential people who knew the businesses and what they were doing. Like a Jason Hine, like yourself, like a Jason Greenwood, like some of the guys at Master B2B and B2B Online and other areas that I've gone, having that pool of knowledge that I could tap into and work with was really, really instrumental in my personal development that enabled me to be a good person, a good fit for what I do. Staying relevant, staying current, challenging myself, finding out where are my weak spots, talking to my employees and talking to others to figure out what do I need to improve on? How can I get better? I think all of those things really played together to land me where I am today. And that's why I was really so keen on building that brand. I remember a few years ago, when I started doing that, I wound up messaging a guy that was following a bunch of my stuff in New York. I was like, hey, you want to go grab tacos? And I hopped on the train. We met for lunch. We started talking and we've been friends since. And he's in the more the B2B B2C space with like address validation and things like that. But we share ideas, we collaborate on things. It's just those types of connections that I think are important to build and build early in your career, because they're going to help you throughout. Whenever you change jobs, whenever you learn something new, having that to go back to is always really important. And get out to conferences. I cannot state that enough. There's so many people that never leave their office, that never go to a show, that never speak to another human about this. And you miss so much of the world by not seeing what other businesses are going through.
Yeah. And there's just like, I can hermit well. People, I joke with people because as a speaker, everybody kind of expects as a speaker that I am
outgoing,
extrovert, outgoing. I'm not. I can hermit with the best of them, and the most enriching experiences of my life have been over drinks at the end of a conference. And by the way, like at B2B Commerce World, one of the most extraordinary things is other conferences I've been to, it's mostly vendors at the end of the night in the bar, hanging out and, spending time together. But at B2B Commerce World, like almost everybody was in the bar afterwards. It was 50-50. It was 50% practitioners, 50% vendors and agencies. It was just that part of it, like, loved the conference itself and how it went off. But that part of it really spoke to me of, okay, this is the type of community we want to build, that everybody wants to hang out together, even just for 45 minutes, an hour after we're done, right?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
What was we're definitely going to involve you next year as we put together. Any highlights from B2B Commerce World this year?
I think the awards dinner was awesome. I think that was a great way to get people connected and talking, and to recognize all the efforts that go on in the space. You look at some of the retail side of things like NRF, you have a massive 1 million-person show that goes on for what seems forever. And people feel recognized, and they feel like what they're doing is shown. So often in B2B, and I know you spoke to this a lot, it just isn't that way. People are, everybody's at their company doing their things, getting little wins, but nobody's really celebrating that on a larger scale. And so I think that was a really awesome way to end the event. I also really valued, I know you've written LinkedIn about this and you've spoken about this, it really valued the name tags. I think that was a huge win.
Oh, that's fun.
I think because you didn't have that, am I just going to get sucked into a sales pitch, or am I going to have an actual meaningful conversation? And more often than not, I wound up talking to a practitioner. But even when I did talk to a vendor, it didn't feel like I was, because it was much more casual. I think both parties felt a little more disarmed about, like, I have to be on, I have to be selling, I have to be whatever. And we were able to just coexist. So I really liked that function of the show. And I think just the overall layout was great. Just the flow of it. It had a lot of really strong speakers and great content. So great job. Kudos to you and the whole team. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. So for everybody listening, what we did at B2B Commerce World in Arizona and Scottsdale was we did not put company names and titles on the name badges. It was this general kind of premise that we judge each other based off of the title we have and the company we work for. And so a vendor might not want to talk to another vendor because they're a vendor, right? Or a practitioner may not want to talk to a vendor because they're a vendor. Or a vendor might be just looking for practitioners the whole time. And I felt like we wanted to have this community aspect where you had to get to know someone to be able to judge them. This is basically that. And, I found myself, Mark, multiple times 10 minutes into a conversation before I asked, who do you work for? What company? And that was a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, similar experience. I think that was really cool about it.
Yeah, that's really good. Mark, appreciate it. We'll do this again. Would love to talk deeper on some of these issues, and definitely going to involve you more in B2B Commerce World next year. Really
wish you a road show. We'll do one of these at Bucky's.
There you go. Oh, we'll do it. I am creating a Greenville experience. So I have this whole Greenville experience now where people come and they record with me in a studio. And we do a little strategy beforehand, just talk about business and kind of where everything sits and brainstorming. Then we think through what we're talking about in the video podcast, and then we do drinks and dinner. It's one on so they might bring a couple people, but it's a really small group. Yeah. Building relationships. So anytime you want to come for the Greenville experience too.
No, I think that's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I'll take you up on it.
Really
thanks for having me on today.
Really appreciate your time.
Manufacturers, distributors, leaders in the zone. If you're building B2B, this the podcast throne. The industry's heartbeat, we're setting the tone. Turn insights to actions, it's how empires are grown. We're talking change management, breaking resistance. Strategies so sharp, they redefine persistence. Customer adoption, it's more than retention. It's building a movement, commanding attention. It's the B2B e-commerce show, where the vision is clear and the strategies glow. From the top of the globe, we're the pros who know. Turn the volume up loud, it's time to grow. We bring news, big topics, insights to spark. From the boardroom's glow to the warehouse dark. Digital transformations, the path we're paving. Helping you lead through the change you're facing. This is more than a podcast, it's the industry's voice. Giving you the tools to make the right choice. No fluff, just facts, no hype, just action. The show where solutions are more than a fraction. It's the B2B e-commerce show, where the vision is clear and the strategies glow. From the top of the globe, we're the pros who know. Turn the volume up loud, it's time to grow.
This is your guide to the digital race. Practical advice, no time to waste. So tune in, gear up, and let's own the space. It's the B2B e-commerce show, the industry's base.